All right, so right on the cusp, right off the back of the issue that we've been dealing with Mr. Scott Adams' comments, we are greeted with, welcomed with, met with a video that has been circulating Twitter from where I saw it, but the internet in general, I guess, of what I can only describe as an execution of a man. I mean, assassination. Is it an assassination only if somebody is like a figure of importance? Regardless, this was an execution. And for anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, it's not a graphic video, so you can go check it out, I guess, But basically, this dude, and I want to say that the video is coming from Pennsylvania. I'm pretty sure is where it happened at, if my memory serves me. And yeah, it's just gentlemen. I'm gonna use race as a descriptive factor here because it is necessary to describe the people. We got a black man in a jacket with a gun out in the open, broad daylight, on the side of a very public used road, loading his pistol, and then he proceeds to take the life of a homeless white. People have been saying that the guy is white, but he seems a little swarthy to me because he's a homeless man, or as one article described him, unhoused. And it's like, really? I'm going off on a tangent here, but like, are you kidding me? Why does the term unhoused ring off as more palatable than homeless? You can't just keep changing terms every few years and then call the old one offense. Like, it's just such a stupid system. I hate that. And I had to throw that in here. But anyways, back to the main story. So the unhoused man, the man without a house to lay upon in the evening times when we are usually resting, I guess, as the term will soon be known as in the future. He had his life taken away by this other man in front of a bunch of other people, including the very man who was filming the video that we all saw. And it's caused an outrage and an upstir online. Particularly, people making reference to Scott Adams' comments about safety between races and kind of pointing it to it as an example of the rationale that has led him to his conclusion. And I'm a black man. I'm biracial. Let's go through the whole thing again. I'm a biracial man. I'm part white and I'm also part black, but it's actually a triracial isolate called Melungeon in the Appalachian region. Yes, okay. Race is complex and nuanced is what I'm getting at. But with that being said, can I personally blame white people for being afraid of that? No. No, I can't. So let's go back to what Scott said. And I know that so many people want to make it seem like it was hateful because it was talking about a disparity between races. And what he said was that he recommends white people get the F away from black people, and that he has moved as far away from them as possible for good reason, by his own words. And he would recommend it to all white people, especially after reading the study that he said where a healthy percentage of black people don't even believe it's okay to be white. And people viewed that as a hate message, like a message to say that black people, or think about this. Is he saying black people don't deserve this? Black people don't deserve that? Happiness, freedom, money, wealth, opportunity. Or is he saying that it seems like black people have some problem with white people, statistically, and that makes me feel like it would be safer for me to stay away from them? That's fear. That's not something for me personally as a black man, biracial, triracial, martial, all of the qualifying factors, a multiracial person who has skin that is less than white. Not less than on a scale. I mean, other than white. Pardon me. Pardon me. That's funny because I know somebody's like, what you mean less than? Other than white. I'm sorry, I just have to laugh at the insanity of that. But he's scared. Why? So why when you see somebody scared, I'm sorry, I'm just clocking out of my job. Why when you see somebody who's afraid, like I basically says, I am afraid of black people, like get him the f out of here, man. He should also lose his job and he should also have bad things happen to him. He should be beaten up because he's afraid of black people. Now, is that irrational when you say it like that, just to be like a phobia of black people? Of course. Afrophobia, as we call it. No, I don't know if that's actually a word, but it sounds good. Does it sounds legit? Afrophobia. So my Afrophobic brother, Scott Adams, he's afraid. Like, I'm trying to say that, like, people like that, maybe not necessarily Scott Adams, but people who are truly afraid of other races, don't you like pity them a little bit? Like, are you really that afraid of them? All right, let's ask generally. Is anybody afraid of Scott Adams? Is anybody afraid of what Scott Adams said? What he could potentially do to black people? If a black man is walking down a side of a street in a dark night in a city, and he walks by and Scott Adams is on that same road, sauntering with his manly, muscular gait, and he walks past you and he looks you up and down like that, is that going to strike fear into your heart? Are you like, oh my God? Are you going to cross the street? Are you going to move to the other sidewalk? Are you going to be like, hey, isn't that guy who made Dilbert? If you even know what that is, because obviously people of my generation don't. I think that it would be the latter more than the prior, because Scott Adams is a very unintimidating man. So what's the game that we're playing here? Black men, I'm going to speak to you directly. Are you afraid of white men? Are you afraid of white people? Are you afraid of white women? Yes, no. Okay. Then do you really believe that it is or it isn't okay to be white? Feel free to answer this in the comments if you want to, if you're brave enough. Do you think it's okay to be white? No? If so, why not? Are you racist? Do you think that they're inferior or that they shouldn't exist on the planet? Be honest. Let me know, dude. I'm not going to judge you. I can't say what YouTube will do to you. But be honest. Say it with your chest if you really think it. That's all I ask of you. And if you don't feel these ways, if you feel like it's okay to be white, if you feel like things between relations between races aren't as bad as the media tries to make it seem, why don't you stand up and say something instead of just allowing this to all fall to the wayside because, hey, I ain't going to defend that cracker, I ain't going to defend that or that man or anything like that right there. You know, I'm going into an accent, I guess, which maybe could be offensive, just to kind of delineate that I'm talking about somebody else. I'm going to catch myself right now and say that I'm not trying to offend anybody. If I were to do that accent about anybody trying to make their thoughts or their opinions sound stupid, I would talk in that same way. I've been made fun of women, like, in a joking fashion, not like, ha, like, not punching down is what I'm saying, but I would use that same term. Like if I had a conversation with my mom and I was making reference to something that she said, I would probably use that because it's snappy. I had to throw that out there as a qualifying factor. I'm not trying to do a black accent. I wouldn't have to do a black accent. I'm a black man. Whoa, it's crazy. My voice is already a black man's voice. And I get called white man for my voice. I get called black man for my voice. I get called radio host for my voice. I get called ludicrous for my voice. So whatever. I say all that to say that I wasn't trying to offend anybody by doing that voice, but my whole point in bringing up that voice was it's up to black people to create the narratives and change the culture for themselves. People are scared of us. I'm not saying, whoa, that's your fault or your responsibility. No. When somebody's scared of you and you like, for absolutely no reason, one thing you do is just laugh that off at how silly it is. You don't sit there and say, well, you don't deserve to have a job or a livelihood or a life. And when we see you in the street, we'll really show you what to be afraid of. Oh God. Oh no. Oh man. Have you ever seen like a parent, and it's like, You know, that kid crying or something like that, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna really give you something to cry about." How many times does that actually work, or does that make the kid start crying even harder and like flipping out? You know what I'm saying? That's a loose analogy, but my point in this is saying that the only way that we repair the relations between black and white people is really breaking down how silly a lot of the stupid, hate-fueled rhetoric is, understanding actual delineations between races, cultural differences, how to respect them, how to evolve, how to integrate, and actually move accordingly. But as long as we play this little game that's fueled by the media, this ping pong, with races and stuff like that, we ain't going nowhere. And people like Scott Adams will be more and more present in times that move on as we gain heavier and heavier censorship. Do you understand how delusional it is when you're afraid to speak your mind? Do you understand how delusional it can make you? Imagine how these white people feel. Now, imagine we allowed them the freedom and they said, "Thank God, man. I'm so glad. I want to say it from the bottom of my heart that I feel like N-words are inferior humans." What are you going to say? Like, everybody would look at that person like, "What?" And he'd be like, "No, hear me out though, bro." And if he gave a reasonable argument, we would have to address that. But if he more than likely said a bunch of gibberish, because I think that any rational person knows that race does not have that heavy of a, contribution to like inferiority or superiority, would say, "I don't know, that sounds a little silly, Jack." And they would go on about their business. Or you might have a really stupid person who is fooled by rhetoric and maybe a shiny object that might be dangled in front of their face, and they might fall up under that person and believe them. We still need to know who those people are, right? So that we can either rehabilitate or eliminate. Which one? I don't know. Which one will it be? Who knows? But I've talked about this for far too long. This all started based off of the video of the man who executed a homeless man in the middle of the street. It was filmed. Nobody did anything about it at the time that it happened. What would I have done if I was in that situation? I don't know. I'm in another state. Am I armed? Who knows? I'm not here to criticize or judge anybody in the video besides the murderer. That guy, he can face judgment. And then I'm going to say, if I was watching videos like that all day and I wasn't black and I was seeing stuff like that, is that an accurate representation of black people? No. Can I go outside in my neighborhood that is predominantly black and see somebody kill somebody else in broad daylight? Hasn't happened to me yet. I've never witnessed anybody actually. I saw a murder one time. It was a white person, but that's neither here nor there. We can talk about that one day. Not right now. But I'm saying all this to say that I have no fear in my heart that when I walk out my front door, I'm not going to see a murder of anybody, of any race. And I'm around a lot of black people. So that leads me to understand that maybe they're not as destructive as media may display. Fortunately, I have the confidence and the ability to get that firsthand knowledge for myself. Some people don't have it. Like some people just have more to lose, is what I will say. And they have less ability to defend themselves in those situations. They have to make smart decisions based off of their survival. They have to make sure that they get home to their children. I'm not mad at anybody making any type of decision for themselves based off of the information that's put in front of them, as long as it doesn't impact other people negatively and remove their freedoms or further oppress them. How does that make you feel hearing a person with my skin tone say that? Why do I have to have everybody on the planet like me? You see, if we acknowledge these kind of things and we saw what was going on in the street there, obviously we wouldn't say, "Oh, it's a black man and a white man together. Something fishy's happening. Let's go put an end to that." But it might have created a different energy in that situation where black men would have maybe stepped up and like, "Yo, what you doing, bro? What you doing?" If there was more openness and understanding to actually study this among race. Like, I feel like a group of black, white people should get together and observe, like, understand, communicate. Why did this happen? We have to understand these kind of things. We can't expect the education system or the government or the media to help us with that. There's no incentive in it for them. Anyways, I'll stop going off on my rant right now, but I just want y'all to know that yes, I saw that video. Yes, it was disappointing. Yes, it falls directly in line with the things that Scott Adams was saying. Is it all black people's fault? No. Is it all black people's responsibility? No, it's not, because you are not responsible for every person who looks like you or walks like you or talks like you. But yes, it is in the fact that every black person doing better for themselves as an individual is helping to deter, dispel, and remove not only those sentiments or stereotypes about black people, but actually the any actual negative incidents, meaning that educating yourselves and economic gains are going to move you away from the violence, like the things that the crime and the violence and the things that come with impoverished, undereducated communities. It's a win-win. Keep going for yourself. Don't pay attention to what they're saying about the crowd and what all black people do and what all white people do. It's silly. It's goofy. We know that we're not all the same. So let's stop playing pretend here.